What's up, good people? It's your boy JD. So, I want to talk to you guys about talent management, right? So, I had a discussion yesterday with someone about talent management and leadership and counseling and things like that. And we were talking about the new way of counseling, right? To be able to do it on your phone, right? I can do your counseling on an app, and then I can send it to you. You sign it, you acknowledge, and you send it back and you sign. Takes out the human aspect of what counseling was meant to be. And then I started thinking about, from a talent management standpoint, you know, are we allowing algorithms to choose the best leaders for our organizations? So, I wanted to essentially kind of talk to you guys about talent management and where I see it from my perspective, and the things that make a successful leader lead a successful organization. So when you're looking at onboarding talent, right, you're looking at who's the right fit for your organization, or you come to an organization new, um, and then you look at the talent that's across the board. And they may not be in the right place. You may have talented people who are just not in the right position. So, with that, right, so you got to look at how you strategically plan to put your people in a position to win. And, the things that I used to do in my organization, right, I would look at people's strengths, right? I would look at their weaknesses. I do the same thing to myself. And with that, I'm able to understand where I can put somebody to value and exercise their strengths, right? Because nobody wants to be put in a position to fail. Period. There's nothing else really to say about that, right? Like, nobody wants to fail, and we don't want to put people in a position to fail. So we're going to look at attributes, competencies, what we call knowledge, skills, and abilities, right? So what we should be doing as senior leaders is taking a look at where this person's been, right? Where this person is most effective. And, we should look within our organization and say, you know, this organization is great, but they're missing this piece. And then from that, I have a key leader I can put in that position because that's the missing link. You know, Nowadays, you know, it's all done through algorithms. There is a human aspect to it, to kind of validate, right, that we have the right person going to the right place. But it doesn't always work out that way. You know, so many times I've seen senior leaders put in a position, and they were supposedly the best fit for that organization, and they failed miserably, right? Ended up getting relieved, fired, whatever. Um, and it's sad, because people are being forced in a position that they're not ready for. They haven't been properly groomed for. They may have tons of education, but experience is what most people lack in leadership. Um, and that affects retention in an organization. That affects climate and a slew of other things. Um, Talent management is also part of developing, right? So, in order to groom a great leader, that leader must be developed properly. Um, there's three pillars of education. We've talked about that before, right? So, institutional, you got your OJT, right, on the job, and then you have self-developing. Self-developing is the most important, and you know what you're missing, right? As a leader, you should. If it's interpersonal skills, then you need to work on that, right? How to be more personable with people, how to be more tactful. Um, I've often found like leaders that have to tell people like, I'm the first sergeant, I'm the platoon sergeant, I'm this, I'm in charge. You're usually not, right? You're lacking something. But, you know, you constantly have to develop. We're constantly developing. You should be developing in some way, shape, or form. Do I think, you know, an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a doctorate makes a great leader? Not necessarily, right? I believe through experience, you're you're able to grow and develop who you are. Now, do you need to be educated uh, to a sense to make good sound decisions and things like that? Sure. I don't know how much education is going to necessarily teach you those things, but in a way, um, you know, you're working intellectually to stimulate yourself and make yourself better, um, which is not a bad thing, right? I just don't necessarily think that degrees make great leaders. I think being in leadership positions and having that experience, will groom you to be a great leader um, in whatever organization that you choose. So, um, I wanted to touch base. Like, I don't necessarily think we always get talent management right. Um, I see a lot of people in our career field put in positions and struggle pretty bad, honestly, in my opinion. And it's not fair to them. It's not fair to the people that they lead. It's not fair to the organization. It's not fair to our business as a whole. And I'm no way, shape, or form are saying like I'm perfect and I got it all figured out. But when we talk about talent management, I look at all attributes. I look at all competencies. I look at past performance and I look at full potential, right? Where's this person been? Where's this person going? And how far can this person go? And, oftentimes, if you have a candid conversation, you sit somebody down across from you and you look them in the eyes, right? You're going to be able to tell if this person is bullshitting you or not, and at the end of the day, it's a business, right? And we want to make sure we have the right person for the job. It's not who's most liked, who's most popular, or none of that. It's not that type of contest. It's not a contest at all, but for some reason, when the human aspect gets in there, um, things get misconstrued. I'm all about building a team, right? Every organization I go to, if I can help it, I'm going to bring the people along that I've groomed, right? That I spent time with or I know personally because I know what they're capable of. That's kind of like the cheat code to building a great organization. But sometimes you play the cards you're dealt. You have to. You got no choice, right? You're not getting other people, so you have to develop them. And if you can't develop, you can't delegate, which means it's going to be all on you as the leader. You're the single point of failure, and then when something happens and you're taken out of, the organization or you have to go do X, Y, and Z, guess what? The organization is going to suffer because you're not there, right? So developing, will allow you to delegate. And once you're able to delegate, then you manage, right? It's not a big deal. And, again, you're managing people when you put them in the right position, right? You're putting them in the position to win. And as long as you're doing that, you don't have to worry about it because you already know they're proficient in those things. And, it just kind of bothered me, yesterday talking about the counseling process because that's how you get to know somebody. And it's not to say like you have to use an app to do it, but the fact that we have an app now to make it more convenient, or, less of an excuse of why we're not counseling. Like if you're not having that, direct feedback, and you're not, having that one-on-one conversation, and you're not looking somebody in the eyes and telling them where they stand with you in the organization as a leader, what they need to work on, what they need to develop, um, you know, shit, it's it's a lost art. It's bad. And you see that, you see that in organizations, and I get calls all the time, right? People are like, JD, man, where I'm at right now, it's toxic, right? It's counterproductive. You know, People are just talking crazy. Soldiers do what they want, right? Leaders aren't engaged, blah, 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 and I'm not part of their organization. All I can do is mentor, right? All I can do is provide my feedback. If I was in that situation, this is what I would do. Or, hey, I've dealt with something like that, and this is what I did. Um, and just give the best advice possible. But if we got talent management right, would would I even have a job? Probably not. Everything would be great. And if we were able to always get it right, um, we wouldn't have conversations like this. We wouldn't have this type of dialogue, because everything would be great. And uh, it's just not the way of the world. Sometimes people slip through the cracks. Sometimes, you don't have a choice. And I just hate that, retention sucks, right? We're not keeping people in because the climate's down, because one or two bad apples are in positions to make people's lives miserable. And I've seen it. I've gotten out of the Army because of it, right? Um, when I first came in, like, my squad leader had white power tattooed on his arms. You want to talk about crazy climate, right? They made it they painted me out to be the one as the problem. I was the issue. And what leader in today's world, Army, uh, corporation, would allow that? That shit would be unheard of. Nobody would put up with that, right? Um, but that's the times I grew up in. And fast forward to where we're at today, it's it's not that extreme. There's stupidness going on because people aren't taking care of people. You know, Individuals, and lower level leaders, hell, even senior leaders, you know, they're in it for their own selfish reasons, right? I can't call it. I have no clue, right? Why people do the things that they do, right? But I often have to hear about it because people that have worked with me, people that know me, or people that heard about me, right, and who I am, and what I stand for, and the great lengths I go to help people out. Um, I get a lot of feedback, and it's not that I don't like the feedback. I mean, this is what I do and why I do what I do, right, and why I'm still doing it. When people stop calling, it's time for me to go. And that's something else, right? If nobody's calling you, asking you for information, or, wanting to know your advice, you're probably the problem. You should probably go, right? Because you're not helping the situation. So I don't know, just my thoughts on talent management, and kind of what I see and what I hear circulating around. And, we got to do better, myself included. People get complacent in positions that they're in, and what it is that they're doing, and life happens and things happen. And I get all that, right? But we got to do better, especially if you're in charge of people, or if you're in charge of an organization. Like, you have those responsibilities, you assume those responsibilities. So handle them, right? Listen, be humble, stay hungry, and stay active. So with that, that's my final thought. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you, stopping by and listening to me. But till next time, you're on the mic with me, JD.